Alright guys, it's announcement time. I announced it I think on Friday, but I haven't had the chance to make a YouTube video yet, but here we are. I'm finally hosting my own tournament. It is OrnLu's Big Nomad Cup. And yeah, it's going to be a 4v4 event played exclusively on Nomad maps, and it's gonna start July 21st, go to August 11th for now. And I just thought that in addition to announcing the video, I thought I would give a brief overview of what the tournament's all about, why it is the way it is, and all of that good stuff. So the reason I decided to host 4v4 Nomad of all settings is one, there have been a lot of 1v1 tournaments recently. And other than BOA2, there really haven't been many team game tournaments, and there haven't been zero 4v4 tournaments as fireworks explode in the background to herald my tournament, I guess. And we haven't really seen Nomad and especially a Nomad specific tournament in a very long time. And it's a pretty fun concept. It's not like the most serious thing ever. And I think that there is definitely enough of a niche in, I guess, the gap of tournament games right now to make this interesting. So I'll go through a brief overview of the settings. Wow. Sound effects not included, by the way. Alright, so if you guys want to sign up, all you need to do is get together a team of 4 to 5 players and sign up before July 15th. So then I make the seeds and then the tournament starts. It will be cast from Rex, so unfortunately no player POV, just because, that would spoil everything. Current prize pool, it's a little bit higher than this. It's a little over $600 right now, but I will link my Streamlabs donation if you are interested in donating. Obviously, you do not have to. It's going to have 2 GSL-style groups, so it's essentially going to be... This is my rough draft of the challenge bracket. Essentially, you have 2 groups, and it's double elimination in a small little mini tournament thing. And then for the semifinals, it is just single elimination. Oh, I guess it's a different tab? Yeah. Pretty straightforward then. Winner of Group A faces the second in Group B, and vice versa. And then there's the finals. So pretty straightforward tournament format. And I think the GSL style like that is pretty good. It avoids the useless matches or super, I guess, like the huge blowout matches, at least ideally, that you kind of see in a round robin. And it gives people more of a chance than just single elimination, and doesn't have all of the crazy excess amount of matches that a double elimination bracket has. So I like GSL style groups with a single elimination finals. Seeding, it's pretty convoluted. Essentially, we have to mix the team game rating in 1v1 because the team game ladder is kind of not super accurate a lot of the time. But we did want to include it at all, but that's subject to change. So what we're going to be doing is there are going to be 7 maps in total in the map pool, and as everything is a best of 5 in the group stage, and a best of 7 for the semis and grand finals, all of the maps are guaranteed to be seeing at least a decent amount of play. So essentially, Game 1 is always on Nomad, essentially just regular Nomad that you know on the ladder. Kind of like how a lot of tournaments start with Arabia as a fixed map for the first game, just like your basic Arabia land map. Kind of the same thing that I had the idea, except it's, well, Nomad. And then the loser just gets to pick the next game from there on out, or the next map from there on out. So, maps, in case you guys are interested, we have, well, Nomad, duh, but we're going to make a custom version of all the maps. Well, actually, T-West is doing that, not me, but though that will be posted on AoE Zone, or not on AoE Zone, I guess it will on AoE Zone. It'll be posted on the Mod Center as soon as we're ready with that. So we'll have a better version of Nomad that doesn't have all the hills and stuff that the DE version currently has, so it like a better version of Nomad. We also have Bedouins as a map, I guess I could go on the maps website. So if I go to Bedouins, again, we'll have our own specific versions of everything, but this is just to give you an idea. Wow. I'm sure you guys can see that so well. Enhance! Okay, obviously, not the greatest quality ever, but obviously everything's a Nomad start. You have all of the forests, like you have forests around the edge of the map, so you at least have some sort of semblance of like knowing that there's wood wherever you want to be. And then there's a ton of little ponds with a bunch of shorefish as your main source of food, but there are some other boars and stuff like that scattered here and there, sheep, all that stuff. Cross, I'm sure you guys know Cross. Well, it's also Four Lakes is the latter version, but it's the same map. It's literally the same thing, except Nomad Start. And I think it's a pretty good map to do Nomad on, just because you do have the 4 different water areas where you can build, and I think you can see a lot of different fighting on in a lot of different areas, and that could be fun. Decentering is a pretty cool map. Again, we'll have our own specific version of it, but essentially everybody starts on a teensy tiny little island here, but it's not like Pilgrim's level small, so you can TC this island if you want, but you do start with a transport ship, so you can also TC on the edge if you want. So this is a map that I think is way better for team games than for 1v1, but you know, you could have some players try and TC the middle, and then go like very heavily for water, and then you could have players TC on the edge and then go more heavily into land or something in between. It's a map with a lot of different possibilities, and I think it's a very good map for this sort of thing. Hoodoo. Hoodoo's a newer map that I actually wasn't super familiar with until I was told about it. It is a Krazini map. Whoa, went from low res to super high res. So you can see that there are some ponds sprinkled here and there, but as well there is going to be water on each side. It's kind of like Scandinavia, except you have some random ponds and hills and stuff, and it is, of course, a Nomad start. It's kind of like a nomadified Scandinavia, actually, I think is a good way of describing it. Obviously not with all the boars and stuff. There is a few more shorefish than usual, but it's a pretty good map. I think our map pool is pretty good overall. But again, we'll have our own version of that. Land Nomad. I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with Land Nomad. It's a land map. It's definitely a bit more forested than normal. But we're changing it so that you have enough resources for a town center right away. Like the classic Land Nomad, you start with like regular resources, so you have to build a lumber camp before you can build a town center, and that just makes things take way too long. So in the interest of not being bored to death, we're just going to give you enough resources to put a town center down right away. And Takashima, this is a really cool map. This is, I think, a map a lot of people are really hyped for, at least that I have seen so far. So you can see here, you have this sort of, it's like reverse cross. You start here with your little islands and stuff with a little bit of resources on it, but then you have 4 distinct land masses to which you can travel and build your town center, and you could have like different islands versus islands battles, and it's a really, really cool map. I actually think this is going to be one of the best maps in the tournament. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one. Then just, you know, standard distribution of resources, or, you know, normal stuff. So those are the maps. It's a pretty small map pool, but that's because, at least for me personally, when making a map pool, I want all the maps to be played. Like, I don't want there to be a map pool where there's just like 1 or 2 maps that just never see the light of day. So that's why I end up, the maps are really weird and the settings are weird. So I want people to have the opportunity to practice certain maps and certain styles or whatever. Civ settings. So this is probably going to be pretty controversial. I haven't been flamed for it yet, which is pretty surprising, but I'm sure we'll get there. So it's really complicated. All you do is you hit the button that says random, and everyone does that for every game. Yep, I am having a tournament that has all random civs. So the reason I chose this is, one, it's sort of in the spirit of the tournament. the I guess I should have explained at the beginning, but of course I'm not that good at doing this. The reason it's called Big Nomad is because the legendary Vietnamese player Kotex/Ong Trum last year said in a random Voodoo lobby, "Let's go Big Nomad." And Project Belgium or Bug'em kind of made it into a meme on my stream, and then from there it's like 4v4 Nomad games with all random civs became super popular, and people really enjoyed them. I really enjoyed them, so that's kind of why I decided to go for this in particular, and like why I would associate it with me, because a lot of people watch those Nomad games on my stream, and I really enjoy casting them, and we haven't seen them in a while. But back in the day of last year, everyone was random in all the games because that makes things fun and crazy, and doesn't see a bunch of mirrors on like a bunch of Persians and Vikings and blah 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 every single time. So going full random ensures 8 different civilizations in every game, and civ drafting doesn't work without redrafting with 4v4, so there are just too many players and not enough civs. And yeah, hidden pick no repeat is boring. But of course, in a 4v4, you're a lot less likely to have like pure civ wins and civ losses, just because you have so many players. So chances are like you'll have some good civs and some bad civs. But if you do feel like you have just a completely, unfair disadvantage, I am allowing 1 restart per series. I know we're phasing out of restarts for tournaments in general, which I think is good. However, it's Nomad, and you can't really expect people like you need to allow restarts in a Nomad tournament. And so if you do call a restart, everyone has to re-roll their civilization. So you can use it if you have like a bad start, you have like a bad map, or someone docks a tiny pond or something, or if you have like a really bad civ matchups. Technical specific in-game rules I'll just briefly go over. Essentially a lot of the standard Nomad stuff to prevent like really degenerative games. You can't build a barracks before your first town center just to lame everybody. No villager fighting. You can lame sheep. You can kill villagers that run to your town center. Slinging, that's definitely going to be a big one. You are not allowed to sling until you reach Imperial Age. I realize I worded it poorly before, but just to be clear, you cannot sling until you reach Imperial Age. However, when you reach Imperial Age, you can sling any teammate you want, however much you want, regardless of your teammate's age. So you can sling a Dark Age, Feudal Age, Castle Age, Imperial Age opponent. The reason I went with this is slinging is, in my opinion, pretty boring when it comes to like, okay, one player just stays in Feudal Age in full walls and then just slings another player who just like swamps everybody. But especially in Nomad, you could get like one player who gets super wrecked early on. So if that player is, having to rebuild their entire economy on the other side of the map, and you have a teammate who's in Imperial Age, that Imperial Age teammate can help the guy who's super far behind catch back up. So that's, I think that's good. TC dropping. So obviously a huge part of Nomad is douching, TC dropping, whatever you want to call it. And I definitely allow it, and probably encourage it. But what I don't want is, okay, the person starts their town center with like 1 villager, and like you have 3 villagers nearby and realize that they're right next to you, so you just like delete your town center for like foundation when you're at like 5% and then rebuild it right next to the opponent just so you can kill them in a TC war. So I'm making it so that you can't delete your town center until you complete your first town center. So you actually have to play the Dark Age at least a little bit. And if fairly common on Nomad situations, if you build your TC that's in range of your opponent's TC or vice versa, and it's just like a TC war, that's an admin restart, which I think is pretty straightforward and fair. All this stuff is pretty normal. Streaming, like I said, unfortunately we can't do POV streaming because spoilers and stuff like that. However, it is completely open to stream. If you want to cast it, I'll make a Discord server at some point if you are interested in casting the Rex alongside or after me. And all this stuff is boring logistical stuff. That's just when the matches are played, admins and stuff like that. So yeah, this is my tournament. It is OrnLu's Big Nomad Cup. A lot of the more technical stuff is subject to change. There is a sign-up thread here on AoE Zone if I can click it. Notably, as I'm recording this, Only one team has signed up, but that team has Riot in it, so every other argument is invalid. So yeah, I mean, why complain? I mean, we have Riot already signed up for this tournament, man. Get hyped. So yeah, I will put all the relevant links in the description below. I hope you guys are excited, like me. This is the first tournament I've ever organized. I'm probably going to screw something up along the way, but that's all part of learning. And I'm really excited, man. Let's go big Nomad. Anyway, hope you guys are excited too. Definitely tune in, obviously, just at my Twitch channel, and I will be streaming at 16 GMT Tuesdays and Thursdays over the next, several weeks or so. So definitely check that out, and thank you guys for watching, and I will hopefully see you around.